proof here that this is a man who is always surprising the markets with things we have never heard or seen before. And as much as surprises can be refreshing, there's also a lot of danger in that, because sometimes it seems Donald Trump makes comments for which he does not know where they lead and what the consequences might be in the open markets.
Well, I guess the market will remain in a wait-and-see mode to see what he has to bring to the table. Now, let's look at Germany's biggest bank, that's Deutsche Bank. The bank has reached a $7.2 billion settlement deal with U.S. authorities for toxic mortgage securities issues. What is the impact of this on the shares of the bank and, of course, investors' confidence?
Well, actually, shares don't move much today for Deutsche Bank, which is quite a surprise. The reaction, if you look at the markets, Deutsche Bank shares today are down a fraction, about 0.3–0.4%. I personally think that investors should be more excited about this, because originally and for the last couple of years, it was discussed that a penalty for Deutsche Bank from U.S. regulators could be up to $14 billion. And now with just about $7.3 billion, we're looking at slightly more than half that. So this is actually good news for Deutsche Bank all over. In addition to that, of course, the possible penalty for the financial crisis was for years that dark cloud that hung over Deutsche Bank, and of course that impacted investors' confidence here. And now this dark cloud has moved on, has been pushed aside. Deutsche Bank can focus on the future, doesn't have to deal much with those stories in the past, and that should really free up resources at Deutsche too, and give way to optimism on the investor side as well. But as I said, we're not seeing too much of that in today's trading session.
We'll just have to wait to see what Deutsche Bank, of course, will also bring to the table when it releases its result. Thank you very much, Lars, for your time. I will move over now to the U.S. stocks index futures. They pointed to a higher open today as traders eyed a host of data and earnings, as well as comments from Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen. Now, on the data front, consumer price index is set to come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, with industrial production and capacity utilization following at 9:15 a.m. The NAB housing index is due at 10 a.m. with the Fed's beige book expected at 2 p.m. Now, later on in the day, Yellen is due to give a speech at the Commonwealth Club in San Francisco at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. On the earnings front, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, and U.S. Bancorp are among companies set to report before the bell. Netflix is among companies set to report after the bell. And as we can see there, the future indexes are all in the green. Looking at Dow Jones Industrial Index there, up 0.08% at 19,758 points. The S&P 500 at 2,265.25, tilting northwards 0.11%. And Nasdaq 5,047.25, up 0.14%. In Asia, markets finished mostly higher today as the dollar index retreated from levels above 102 reached in the previous week, fueled by remarks from President-elect Donald Trump. In Japan, the Nikkei stock average closed up 80.84 points. Across the Korean Strait, the Kospi finished near flat at 2,070.50. Australian shares bucked the trend among major markets, with the ASX 200 closing down 20.66 points. In China, the Shanghai Composite was up 0.12%, while the Shenzhen Composite slipped 0.45%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng advanced 1.15% in late afternoon trade. Now let's look at what Venezuela's president is saying about oil price. He says he hopes oil prices will stabilize at $70 a barrel, and says President-elect Donald Trump cannot be worse than outgoing President Barack Obama. Maduro's comments came alongside a visit to Venezuela by OPEC Secretary General Mohamed Bakindo, Recently, the bloc of petroleum-producing nations and non-OPEC members voted on a cut in production to support a raise in global oil prices.
This is also historic because this is for the first time you are getting OPEC and non-OPEC together to jointly monitor their production to ensure compliance to an agreement that is reached voluntarily.
Yo aspiro en este semestre.
I hope that in this semester, Venezuelan petroleum will reach $60 a barrel. I hope that this could stabilize at $70 for the rest of the year. I say wait to see what happens with internal policies of the United States as well as with international policies. Don't let's jump ahead of ourselves. I want to be prudent and say wait. It won't be worse than Obama. Venezuela has confirmed its historic desire since Bolivar to have a relationship that is respectful, communicative, and cooperative with the United States of America.
And in South Africa, the headline consumer inflation accelerated to 6.8% year-on-year in December, beating market expectations from 6.6% in November. Economists had forecast a 6.5% year-on-year inflation print. On a month-on-month basis, inflation quickened to 0.4% from 0.3% previously. Core inflation, which excludes the prices of food, non-alcoholic beverages, petrol and energy, rose to 5.9% year-on-year in December from 5.7% and edged higher to 0.5% on a month-on-month basis from 0.1%. We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll look at the top business risks in Africa and, of course, here in Nigeria. Do stay with us.